have been a lot of thank yous, so maybe I'll just make a general one. How wonderful so many of our screen government department representatives are here. Although I have to say, it wasn't a hard thing to really accept a little trip to Byron. But I think I could not be more excited about this week and the wonderfully talented women who've come from all over Australia, and we hope we can help. So here I am, and this is meant to be my so-called brilliant career, brilliant advice. So looking back at the good and the bad, also called How Did I Get There? First woman director in 50 years. So what can I tell you? I mean, how can I help you? It's hard for anyone to have a film career, male or female. It's a brutal business. To tell you the truth, I really didn't suffer all that much because of my gender, or was it I didn't let it, that was any sexism, hold me back? Let's try and see, and also knock a few old myths right on the head. So to answer how, why me, back to the beginning. Luck. It's actually meant to be a big no-no. Like, women are not meant to say it was about luck because we're undermining our own talent. But there is some luck, and there's timing, I've got to say, in my so-called big career. I don't know if I can give you that, but surely fate gives us all our fair share, but you've got to watch for it and you've got to grab it. So back to good beginnings. Good start, like a good breakfast. Pat and Raoul. Pat and Raoul, well, that was luck. I can't give them to you, my mum and dad. Pat, the ex-primary teacher who read to us, made us the papier-mâché costumes for my garage productions and loved us. And Raoul, the suburban real estate agent and amateur photographer, who taught us all to print our own photos, and he built my puppet theatre, and he helped cut and frame all our projects and was the driver, runner on my first film. Check the credits on The Roof Needs Mowing. At the end it says R.E. Armstrong. So I thank two parents who brought me up in the, yes, we're talking about the dark days here, the 50s, pre-Germaine Greer and pre the word feminism, to believe that girls could and should do anything, and who supported me and later my risky decision to do something with arts and drama. All my friends became nurses and teachers and secretaries. They've probably done something else by now, but in those days. And out there in the suburbs, we loved books, Life magazine, art, photography, and the ABC and Four Corners watched with the Sunday roast. Not much football, I'm afraid, in our Melbourne house. It took me many years to discover the Swannies. Go Swans. And more luck, my sixth grade teacher, who let us write and perform our own plays, who advised Mum I had some talent to be encouraged in the drama area. So that set me off to 12 years of speech and drama classes with Daphne Powell from the Mitcham Rep, who'd be pleased to see me up here now trying to remember how to speak properly. And she took me to see my first real play at the MTC, very handy training for a drama director. No, I'm not a frustrated actor. Self-awareness, you need that. No false dreams. I knew I wasn't an actor. I knew I wasn't actor material, and you can tell. I could hear my squeaky voice, see those too thin lips, which are covered up at the minute with huge lipstick. I could see myself pathetic, and I could see talent in others. Maybe that was the beginning of, my talent as a director. Mr. McQuillan, my teacher, mentor. What luck I had him. I can't give him to you, but Kate McQuillan, who's here as one of the mentors, got him as her dad. And I've got to say, I just thought it was random that we had such fun doing plays in grade 6. Later on, I got a letter from dear Mr. McQuillan after my brilliant career opened to say that he went on to be the head of drama in schools. So, it was luck and timing. It was that, I had someone who's so passionate about drama who told my mum. Okay, Miss Bossy hard work, my nature. I can't give you that. Yes, I was a boring, conscientious hard worker, perfectionist. The type that was always form captain. Maybe that showed early leadership qualities. Maybe I was just being a goody two-shoes, and as a big sister, I was used to being the boss. So directors are leaders. They direct. I don't know how to give that to you, but never force it. And perfectionism is good to have, but watch those details. Just don't, yes, it's good to have, to watch details, but just don't go mad and never, ever, ever finish. I have seen that happen. Okay, so the first myth about the woman that makes it, cutthroat ambition. The first woman would be expected to be extra driven, pushy, tough, loud, cutthroat, full of nasty ambition, word for girls, good word for boys. That's why the press wrote, she's a lot smaller than we expected, or the man on location, my first AD, seemed to be doing all the shouting on the megaphone. Yes, please, shouting my orders. No, directors need steel. They need passion and vision, but they can be quiet and they can be steely achievers. Just look at all the nerd directors, Woody Allen. Second myth. Directors are inspired by childhood, boyhood's dreaming at the movies. Why would I think about being a director? As there were no actual female role models and no Australian films at all in the 1960s. I keep saying this to remind you all how lucky we are that the government did decide to fund the arts and must keep doing it. Just a little thing on the side. My daughter told me not to go off on the rant, so I'll never finish. So yes, what did I see? I saw ABC TV dramas, which were good, and Crawford cop dramas. Not really my thing. But I was dreaming. I was dreaming under the bed, reading books. Myth 3. There are family showbiz contacts. It's all about networking. No, girl from the outer suburbs at a very ordinary secondary school, my art teacher said, films. We'll now have a film. So back to why me. Perhaps it's finding what you love to do and what you're good at. For me, that actually took some time. Art school, 2 film schools, working in crews from script assistant, set dresser, runner, art director, and assistant editor. Oh, and the 5 months waitressing and door knocking to even get into the film industry. 6 or so shorts, 4 or 5 small documentaries, and a 50-minute drama. I'm a slow learner. But I wanted to learn. Plodding onward can be good. It's a slow, detail-based craft. Myth 4, the clever plan. I didn't have a plan. I worked quietly and slowly and later sort of blundered into film via the only course for theatre design in Melbourne at that time, part of Swinburne Art and Film School. And during my 4 years diploma, I finally found my passion, visual storytelling. Advice? Art school was great training for pushing the boundaries, using your imagination and finding your own voice. So that was luck again. And in the 1970s, it was a much more open, liberal environment. Girls mattered, more than at uni. It was at the end of my diploma in film and television, at this very under-resourced first film school in the country, having tried theatre and costume design for a blink and realised I only had 5 ideas, and then tried photography, animation, editing, cinematography, film history and creative writing, I realised that actually I was incompetent at all of them, but my talents sort of came together as a filmmaker. And I could have competent people doing all that rest of that stuff, the technical stuff. So yes, photography, stories and actors and acting, boom, that meant movies. So not ambitious, very naive, but searching, trying and testing and assessing all those areas. That was important. filmmaking, bringing all those pieces together to affect an audience. Now, that was inspiring. That was a challenge, and it still is. And I am still learning every film, every time. And I still keep getting it wrong. So how did I get there? It took another 8 years. Well, David Michaud was writing Animal Kingdom for 7 and Baz Workshop Strictly Ballroom for 4 years or more. Really, finally, it is about making a great film. So how do we do that? Starting with a great short. It takes a lot of practice. It's a craft and an art. And that takes boringly good old perseverance and resilience, falling over, getting up again, and learning from mistakes. And passion. And a little bit of luck. It also takes some talent. And if you're a woman, 10 times over. There was a lot of fuss when the production of My Brilliant Career was announced in 1977. I soon discovered, I never really thought about it until it was pointed out, that I was the first woman to direct a feature film in Australia for 50 years. The wonderful McDonough sisters wrote, starred, directed and produced their own successful films in the 1930s until our industry was taken over by Hollywood and went bust. So, first woman, there was behind-the-scenes chat. Like, will it cut together? Will she collapse out there in the dust? And so on. Translated. A director needs to be physically strong, needs to understand technical ungirl-like things like cameras and editing, and not tripping over leads. My very tall, strong friend, Philip Noyce, was directing his first feature that year too, Newsfront. Nobody said the above about him. We were both recent award-winning graduates from the AFTR's inaugural year. There were 10 boys and 2 girls. A first feature is a lot of pressure for anyone, but unlike Phil, I also had the entire pressure of all women in film. I have told this story before, but maybe some of you haven't heard of it, and maybe some of you just, grown up. I just got out of primary school since I last told it. I realised if I stuffed up, it wasn't that Gillian Armstrong couldn't direct, it would be that no women can. Advice? Well, looking back, I think I actually had a natural sense to block all that out without drugs or alcohol and get on with the job. Focus, blank out stress is a good piece of advice, by the way, to all first-time directors and second, because it never gets any easier. So I just did my best, as Mum always said, worked hard, and luckily had a fantastic supportive producer, Margaret Fink, and an amazing team and cast that we found. Yes, there's always a bit of luck, but I think if I hadn't liked Margaret, because I was being offered other features with male producers, and if I hadn't liked the script, I wouldn't have signed up. I mean, it was a huge thing, a big film for a first-time director, and lots of people said that. It was risky. So even if it was an amazing break, I'd say my advice now would be trust your instinct about the team, despite temptations like they have the money. I didn't realise how an unsympathetic producer could destroy you, the creative process and the film, until many years later when I had one. Producers, now that's a key. The unsupportive, overpower-hungry, controlling ones can truly undo you, male or female. That is, male or female director, male or female producer. And Margaret and I really shared the same taste. Myth 5. Women don't work as bosses. Woman boss issues? No, and we actually had 3, Margaret Fink, Jane Scott, who's a line producer, and me. They set me up with a top crew who all became teammates, as you do, bumping around in dusty vans on location surveys. Was I nervous? Yes, but not about those 50 or so men. Looking back, the good crew I had, and Dad's education decision. I was very used to working with men. I went to a co-ed school. I had a brother. I'm used to blokes up the back farting. It just, it was never a worry. And I knew they needed leadership. I had no trouble, only support. If anything, there was less respect and more trouble from female crew in production and continuity. They were the ones unnerved by a female boss. Perhaps they were used to being the only gals in the village. Prepare, do your homework. Myth 6, yes, all women achievers do. They work harder. No partying at the bar, no romancing the leading man or lady, shot list and early to bed, alone. Prepare and still listen to those who know more, who have got a better idea that you like. And hardest of all, try and hang on to your vision and the heart of the story, despite all the budget and time constraints that are part of every film, big and small. I heard even Ridley was having issues when he was shooting in Sydney. Everyone was surprised. Yes, you don't get all the money, ever. No matter, it can be bigger, but it's still never enough. Or maybe it's because we're the old perfectionists and we want more. And hardest of all, yes, is doing this and hanging on to your vision and protecting and trusting your actors and keeping open communication, but get what you want. Remember to trust your instincts, but treat people well. That's what gains respect. I've actually got my Oscar and Cinder continuity person here, Victoria. You can now yell out, idiot, bullshit. No need to posture or throw around power, says Jill. I didn't, did I? It's about making the best decisions and sadly, so often the best compromises. And you will be supported by people like Victoria, who will whisper in your ear when you're tired and you're about to give up and say, you know, go on, let's get one more take. So thank you. How lovely to see one of my crew here. Because you never get the right weather or enough time. So together, on My Brilliant Career, back to that, with my wonderful DP and first AD, we tried to do this creatively when the weather and time and budget seemed to defeat us. And yes, it did cut together. My brilliant editor and I were and have become a team, a long-time team, Nicholas Bowman, and our producer gave us good and constructive feedback. And yes, there were things I stuffed up. Of course, I'm a perfectionist and there are things I can't look at, but mostly we covered it up. Sound, music, whatever. Myth 7. The distributors are men and they think like men. True. There had been some rumblings behind the scenes that this was a risky project commercially because our heroine and our hero did not end up happily together ever after. And that's what women want in the movies, said our male distributors. Yes, there is industry-ingrained sexism. Male distributors and broadcasters deciding what stories appeal to women. Our line of diplomacy, you always need that, was that our heroine has a line, not now, to Harry, so the true romantics could think maybe one day in Paris they'll see each other across a crowded street. But our brave distributor at Greater Union, David Williams, Kim's father, turned to me at the end of the screening and he said, "You were right, the end works." Not all men in power have to win. He trusted his instincts. Looking back, good old originality. This turned out to be one of the keys to the film's worldwide success. The girl said no. The irony was that My Brilliant Career was actually turned down by then Film Australia, who said audiences were bored by period films, and we said, but ours is different. Now, I always say there's no rules. If it's a good story and if it's original, you're in with a chance. And made well with the right team and passion and belief, but no one ever really knows what will take off big time with audiences. It is finally up to the audience and luck. So timing and luck again, sorry. None of us had any idea that this female-centred film would one day be selected for competition in Cannes or be such a hit worldwide with women and men. But we believed in the story and we fought for it and we fought to make it great with the best of script and cast. So my advice, whatever type of film or TV show, comedy, drama, horror, love, action, you have to be different. You have to be better, and it has to capture people's imaginations. Key tough decisions. Along the way, there were some tough decisions. We brought in a script editor to our writer's concern, and we changed a key member of cast at the last minute. And I think, looking back, I would have been too nice and too inexperienced, maybe it is a girl thing wanting to be liked, to have done either without the support of my experienced producers. Looking back, you have to get the cast and the script right. Never compromise. Get help before you shoot. Producer and director have to be on the same page or else it's tears. Show business is tough. People may be upset for a short time. In the end, a failed project helps no one. Be fair, be ethical, but trust your instincts. Never stop making it better. We worked hard to make a good film of this wonderful book written by Miles Franklin in the Outback in 6 weeks at the age of 16. Its success was beyond our wildest dreams. Myth 8. Success breeds success. Yes. Nobody ever after, here or in the USA, cared if I was a woman. Never again did they worry that I might fall over in the dust, the mud, the rain, the ice or snow. And I often did. I'm talking to the physiotherapist about it now. I had made a commercial and artistic hit, everybody's dream. And in the USA, women in film who met with me said, "You have made a film that looks big. Thank you from us." Because the view there then was women only make little films, kitchen sink dramas, not real films. Okay. But forever, I have been offered stories set in the past about women achievers. Stories about women as though I have no interest in men at all. And I have fought the label woman director. Why can't I just be Gillian Armstrong director? We are not all the same. And male critics, perception. They always think women directors want to attack them, and all men. I, after a while, thought, should I just put G. Armstrong on the end? And then they would just judge it as a film, not go in thinking, what is this woman saying about me? And the huge lack of women critics. But I could go on and on, that's another story. It was certainly good for my own brilliant career, and I assumed it would be good for the incredibly talented Australian women who followed here in our much more open, government-funded and supported industry. But a year ago, I stood at the latest launch of the Afters Lumina magazine, and I heard the most recent survey of the percentage of women directors currently in our industry, and I was appalled. Like most of us, I thought it must be now at least like 45%, but no. 35 years after my brilliant career, I'm horrified that there is still only 18% of film and TV dramas in this country directed by women. A little less, actually, in the US and the UK. This is despite Jane Campion, Kate Shortland, Samantha Lang, Jocelyn Moorhouse, Jennifer Kent, and many others who forged amazing careers in films. And that the numbers of young female film school graduates and short film award winners has increased. And our female TV directors are consistently hitting high ratings and creaming the awards. Offspring, The Slap, Secret River, Glitch, Dana, Emma, Jess, Hobbs. And yet, appallingly, any concept of equality post all these amazing female director role models, 82% of film and TV dramas are directed by men, which is a better way to think about it. 82 are directed by men. Young women now attend film schools in equal numbers. They win short film awards and then they disappear. So why? Where are they? Let's face it, there is something deeper going on. It is truly not a level playing field. It's bloody time to fight for greater gender diversity. No more talking, act. And the Australian Directors Guild did. We formed a Directors Guild Women's Action Committee, and last year, with men and women, and we went to lobby for change, and we are so delighted that Screen New South Wales, Screen Australia came so quickly and enthusiastically on board. We're here tonight funded by one of their many gender initiatives. That's Sally, you know what I'll say. This can only be a start. It must continue. Women creatives need to be extra nurtured, supported and showcased. Just as Screen Australia's wonderful Indigenous initiatives was so fruitful, but it takes time. And producers, male and female, have to step up. Every head of a production company and TVC house need to make sure there is a woman properly considered every time for every job. Check the list, check a showreel. Broadcasters need to be reined in. Forget our right and our daughters' right to hear and see a female point of view. It makes commercial sense. We are the greatest audience and market for TV and film and ads. How can we do this? Can you believe that, this is just a little, Jill Armstrong aside that I'm not meant to be doing. Can you believe that everyone merrily accepted that for many years the male head of ABC documentaries was only interested in men's history and war stories? It was actually a battle to get him interested in investing in my award-winning documentary series, Love, Lust and Lies, because he doesn't, as I heard behind the scenes, he doesn't like women's stories. And no one questioned this, and he was there for 8 years. If it's taxpayers, our money, they must be brought to task. Perhaps we need to start a check the talent list movement. Let's call it give a girl a leadership break. But that talent has to be prepared and it has to be ready. Advice? Find out what you're good at and what you love doing. Be tough. Maybe you need a writer. Maybe you're better at documentary or reality, not comedy. I soon realised that there were better writers out there than me. Maybe you are more the ideas person or the initiator, not the director. God, we need good, innovative producers. It's so, so hard. Find your own voice. Be brave. You can't be ordinary. Be unique. Be different. Push imagination and boundaries. Find stories that are close to you. Passion does win through. You learn by making, practice. It's a craft. Today, you can shoot a story, on your phone. You can edit on your Mac. You can distribute it online, on YouTube. It's all ideas and doing. And I'm so sorry we've taken money being here tonight, and my airfare could have funded another short film. So many of the crafts can be learnt online. Watch Erin Sokin's screenwriting class or Steve Zalian on the wonderful scripting of The Night Of. Watch and analyse the world's best cinema and TV without going to film school. Find your team. We all need the support and inspiration of that team. Understand the power of the image and of character, real characters, not the cliche. It's about taste and judgment. How to know what's good and bad. Start watching and learning. The best of world cinema. God, we groan, sometimes we doze off, but 3 years of the world's best cinema screenings in our film history classes at Swinburne every Tuesday morning was actually life-changing. I think drowning yourself in the best finally rubs off. It sharpens your own taste and judgment, and they, as a director, are your 2 key skills. We saw ourselves as filmmakers, not directors. You may say very idealistic. It was about expressing ourselves as visual artists and the power of the story, not about getting to the red carpet in Hollywood and the money. Yeah, we were naive. For me, the big world wake-up, the gender issue, only finally appeared when I left Swinburne and tried to get my first start at the ABC, and some of you might have heard this little story, sorry if you had, but yes, all the boys were applying to ABC camera, sound, floor managers, assistant editors. I get a letter saying, no, sorry about your short film, you should report to the typing pool. That's where women start. That's why, I always get a good reaction. That's why I keep telling that story. My response, yes, was disappointment and, yes, a bit of anger, but more, now looking back, was resolve. I will do it without him. How do you do that in sign language? I never went back to the ABC, except when it was my own work. And I never really learned to type. Probably should have. Getting a job, it's all about your creative work. Mentors, yes. The wonderful Fred Skepsey was one of ours at Swinburne. I was a tea girl on Libido, but I was really too frightened to even get out of the kitchen, except to give people their tea and coffee. I was worried I really might trip over all those cables. But it was good. I could see the crew and the cast respected and adored him. And I did get the courage on the last day to ask for further contacts because I was moving to Sydney. And later I got great advice, follow editing, it's more creative. If you're a script assistant, you may never, ever, ever become a director. And after all that waitressing and no hope, the lady at the 729 Club dining room actually gave me the great advice, don't tell them you don't have experience, Jill. And I think now, maybe that is a gender issue. Girls are too honest. We're less likely to bullshit. And I practiced the bullshit after that, and I did get a job. Later in the real world, editing and working was a real wake-up call, and I realised that very few ever get the chance to make things that they actually believe in, and I wanted that. And so I've got to say it was just, again, such luck and timing that I'd had that year learning that, and I saw the ad for the first year of the Australian Film and Television School, which was, the most well-funded year they've ever given. And, we got to make 3 films in 1 year, and my film from the Alan Marshall short, 100 a Day, earned me many awards and became my calling card. Networking, the film school helped us. They set up screening for industry groups. Truly, up till then, I knew nobody except the wonderful people at the little place where I was editing. And the positive feedback from the screenings was so uplifting and confidence building. And, directors need that. People forget we're actually incredibly vulnerable. We all think our work is terrible, and writers too. People approach me, and it was the beginnings of a real career. Okay, so I made that standout short. Did that lead immediately to a feature? No. I knew I had so much more to learn, to shoot, to practice, to make. It was 1973. My brilliant career was my first feature was 1978. So do make sure you are ready. But looking back, I made a 50-minute drama grant after all that, The Singer and Dancer. I took a year off on the dole. I'm allowed to confess that now. I might, be sent to jail. But you do have to make economic sacrifices, and you couldn't do that anymore. They wouldn't let you. But it was a great way a lot of us were funded in the arts, thanks to the Unemployment Office. And it was that 50-minute drama was the best way forward to a feature, I think. And I've been thinking about it. I really think it should be reintroduced by Screen Australia. It was the best step up to TV or film directing and to TV drama, which really is our new growth industry. Feature dramas are shrinking worldwide. There are low-budget indies or big action cartoon genre films. The more serious dramas and the smart comedies have gone to TV. Brilliant, brave, risk-making stuff. If you're not interested in genre, this should be your focus. Okay, this is now a summary. Key advice, persistence, passion. It does mean economic risks, and all easier if you are young and you're not paying off the mortgage. It is obsessive, and it is selfish. You need generous and patient partners. And I have to say, I really lucked out big time on that. I don't even want to say how I really basically would not have had a career without finding Mr. John. But I feel sort of so guilty because I feel like I'm just standing up here as a bag of lucky tricks. But I want you all to find a John. I mean, every male director's got a wife. We always used to say you just need a wife. No, John's more than a wife. I'm sorry, he's an award-winning editor. Sorry, Annabelle knows him. You need resilience. And finally, hanging on to self-belief. Now, self-belief is perhaps the hardest thing for those talented young female directors and writers who don't get their foot in the door in their first years out of film school, who watch the boys be headhunted by commercial production houses and go from strength to strength and make and learn and get paid, win more awards, and then the boys are offered that TV series or feature film. Think of Glendon, think of Garth. So it's hard to sustain self-belief if you're a young woman director who may have won short film awards and you haven't got the money to pay the rent and you're actually applying to places like Aldi to see if you can be a checkout chick. Our top-heavy male-dominated TVC industry with boyo creatives goes looking for fellow boyos. There's a few boyos up the back, get into it. To do gross-out boyo ads and Tropfest-style gross-out hipster gags with girls in subordinate and negative roles. I ask, are they really working, these ads? Are they selling to us, the other 50% of the population? Let's wake up the advertising industry. There are 92 men directors working for production companies and 8 women. Where are all the female creatives and writers in advertising? The British Film Institute industry survey said sexism is there and unconscious, and it's real and deep. Investment is risky, so they hang on to a belief that a director is a man in a baseball cap. It's an unconscious bias. Let's make this conscious. Let's help the talented girls get more practice, more shorts, make sexy show reels, meet good producers and investors, and yes, think about bringing back the 50-minute indie, brave original dramas like Singer and Dancer without the networks all over them. I did not need or want a man on my set mentoring me. Let's find ways to get many more in the door. This is a serious gap that must be addressed to finally give the girls in baseball caps, I always wore one, a break, so that we can all see and hear that rare thing, an unconscious female bias in our stories. Thank you.